Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. How's everyone feeling today? Woohoo! I hope you enjoyed your evening last night, but more importantly, I hope you enjoyed the trade show this morning. Now I'm honored to introduce the Honorable Jim Reiter, Minister of Government Relations, and he told me to say this, my personal hero. What? Weyburn's getting more revenue sharing now. Right?
I didn't hear that.
Oh, okay. Didn't think so. Just like you, a politician. This is Minister Reiter's second SUMA convention since he was appointed Minister of Government Relations and Minister responsible for First Nations, Métis, and Northern Affairs in May of 2012. He was first elected to the legislature in 2007 in that provincial election, and in 2009, our Premier, Brad Wall, appointed him Minister of Highways and Infrastructure. And he was also Minister responsible for Saskatchewan Transportation Company. We are very pleased to have Minister Reiter with us today and to have the opportunity to continue to build strong relationships with him as well as his ministry. These strong relationships are the basis of everything SUMA does on behalf of you, our members. Delegates, would you please join me in bringing a warm SUMA welcome to our Minister, Jim Reiter. Thank you.
President Button, colleagues in the legislature, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to be here, as Deb just mentioned. This is my second SUMA convention in this capacity as having the privilege to be your minister, but I've attended many SUMA conventions over the years. As some of you may know, I spent my entire career before politics working in the municipal sector. So in many ways, having the opportunity to interact with SUMA members, with individual municipalities on a regular basis is sort of a dream job for me. Now, I believe some of you will have heard this, that in the past when the Premier was asked by the media if he couldn't be in politics, what would his dream job be? And he has repeatedly said that he believes he has the best job in the country, but if he wasn't in politics, his dream job would be as commissioner of the Canadian Football League. Now, somebody was laughing, but it's true that he has said that. He's a huge sports nut. I get that. I'm a huge sports nut too. So I think in many ways, this is important because this is going to be into sort of the theme of my remarks this morning about dreams in Saskatchewan. I think that if I wasn't in politics and wasn't doing this job, which I'm very privileged to have, I think in many ways, my dream job would probably be to be a professional athlete, much like Graham DeLatte from Weyburn, who the Premier referenced yesterday, who finished runner-up in the PGA Tour event in Phoenix, or John Ryan, who not only is the punter for the Seattle Seahawks, but now has a Super Bowl ring, a victory to his credit. In fact, the only thing that stopped me from becoming a professional athlete was a complete lack of talent. But there's a silver lining. I once had a constituent tell me that it takes no talent to be a politician, so I think I found my calling. Now, I'm just looking around. I want to introduce, there's a number of legislative colleagues here today, both from my government colleagues and also the opposition, so I won't introduce them all. I'll just acknowledge that they're here. And except for one, over there, Kevin Phillips. If I could get my friend and colleague Kevin Phillips to just stand up and give a wave. Kevin is the MLA for the Melfort constituency, the hardworking MLA for the Melfort constituency. And he is also, he's no stranger to these conventions. Many of you will know him. He was the long-term mayor of Melfort, and the reason I'm introducing him is because Kevin and I get to work very closely these days because, as the Premier mentioned to you yesterday, he's the Legislative Secretary for Regional Municipal Cooperation, which again will be important in my remarks today. The theme of your convention this year is Strength for Many Peoples, which I like because it, of course, is very close to the province's motto, which is from many people's strength. Yesterday, the Premier spoke about our growth plan. Today, I'm going to focus on just one point of growth, intermunicipal cooperation. The notion of cooperation is implicit in your convention theme, as it suggests all of us working together, collaborating on shared goals. Without cooperation, many people can just be an unfocused crowd. With cooperation, with a common cause, that's a powerful force for change, a powerful force for good. And we need the cooperation of many people, of all the people in the municipalities that you all represent, to keep building our province and to capitalize on the opportunities and deal with the challenges that a growing Saskatchewan presents. All of you see, hear, and read daily the news headlines of growth and opportunity in our province. Our population now stands at over 1,114,000 people. That's more than 20,000 more people that were residents in this province just 1 year ago at this convention. Our province has also had the lowest unemployment rate over the course of the last year. And after decades of being at or near the bottom economically, we are now at or near the top in virtually every economic indicator in the country. Saskatchewan is no longer just a great place to be from. Saskatchewan is now a great place to be. A great place to live, a great place to work, and a great place to do business. The growth we've seen in the last few years has been unprecedented, but it's brought with it challenges for all of us in providing services and infrastructure challenges for those many peoples. But I'll take the challenges that come with that growth any day over those associated with a declining population, an eroding tax base, and a loss of jobs. So what we're now experiencing is a bit of a culture shift as we adjust to this new reality of continued growth and prosperity. Growing pains, if you will, around growth. I believe we can learn, and I believe we are learning from the experiences in other jurisdictions. Some of you here today will no doubt have attended the Regional Planning for Growth Summit that was held here in Regina in November. There you would have heard about the city of Red Deer and the county of Red Deer, and how 7 years ago they went through a period of conflict over competing development plans before voluntarily and amicably settling on a plan that established a new framework for their region. I'm also told that the work of the city of Regina and the rural municipality of Sherwood was also highlighted at that summit. Now, we've seen the city and the RM go through some tense moments with respect to their visions for future development. But the last few months of great work have resulted in a new memorandum of understanding around a joint planning area. And I need to publicly commend the city of Regina and the RM for embarking on that new era of municipal cooperation. There's still likely going to be some difficult times, some difficult issues to deal with in the months and years ahead. But based on the work of these last few months, I have a great deal of faith that they'll work through those issues. Examples of regional cooperation are around us everywhere these days. I had a great discussion, for example, yesterday with the delegates that are here from Nipawin, who I'm hoping to speak to a little bit later today again, about some work that they're doing on taxation sharing with their two neighboring rural municipalities. Another example, which many of you are familiar with, is the Mid-Sask Municipal Alliance. It's been around since 2010, and it's in that area around Lanigan and Jansen with a number of municipalities in that area that have recently become a planning district. They're all working together to deal with the challenges that a hot regional economy can bring, including community infrastructure. Another example, the cities of Saskatoon and Martinsville and the neighboring municipalities in that area are also doing some great regional work. Certainly from time to time there's been some problems, but that's common in high growth areas. You see it across the country, often in areas in Alberta, which has had a hot economy for many, many years. But those problems don't matter. What matters is how we deal with those problems. And one of the really great stories that I was told about from this past year came from the town of Cabri, where that community, along with, get this, 4 nearby villages, 4 rural municipalities, and 3 Hutterite colonies, all got together to build a new clinic for their area. Now that, I think, is a great initiative that came completely from the grassroots without any extra funding from government. So cooperation is clearly on everyone's agenda these days. And I'm encouraged not only by the examples that I've just given, but also by 5 new planning districts that were formed in our province in the last year. There's enough growth for everyone in our province. It has a way of generating even more growth, and we all benefit when we work together. Our plan recognizes that investment in infrastructure is crucial to our ongoing success, whether that investment is for new infrastructure or to replace aging, dated infrastructure. In fact, since 2008, our government has invested a record $13 billion in infrastructure. But as the Premier mentioned yesterday, we're still waiting for word on the new Building Canada plan. Discussions have been much slower than we would have liked, although I do need to tell you, my territorial and provincial colleagues and I have taken every opportunity to advocate for the new plan and to hopefully get new information soon from any federal ministers we've met with, but specifically the minister in charge of this file, Minister Dennis LaBelle. So now we're just in waiting mode. We're waiting for more details from the feds. Yesterday, you also heard the Premier speak about municipal revenue sharing. That's an area of programming that I'm particularly proud of. A few years back, we made the commitment to tie municipal revenue sharing to 1 point on the provincial sales tax, and that's meant record revenue sharing for everyone in this room. But as he also mentioned, a new accounting standard has been introduced for PST reporting, and that'll result in a slight decline in revenue sharing this upcoming year. But even with that small reduction, that small one-time blip, municipalities will still have seen revenue sharing more than double since we've been given the privilege of forming office. So I want to also mention I really appreciated President Button's comments to municipal revenue sharing. She compared it to a marriage. I might have used different wording, but we very much are partners in this, and I appreciate the comment and the response from SUMA on this issue. So we've had a lot of big events in Saskatchewan in 2013. We had the Memorial Cup, we had the Junos, we had the Grey Cup. All those, on top of regular course of business, are going to bring a lot of PST into this province. Yes, I believe there is PST on beer sales and Rough Rider t-shirts. So based on mid-year estimates, I'm optimistic that we'll again be seeing increases in revenue sharing in the very near future. Our government views municipal governments as being on the front line in dealing with the challenges of growth. You folks know best how to invest your dollars into your communities and what's best for your residents. So we've attached no strings to the money we provide under municipal revenue sharing. We're not telling you how to spend that money. That's your call. I'd now like to touch on just a couple more areas of programming that the government's been working on lately. Our ministry has set up a rapid growth communities team that involves a number of ministries and agencies and crown corporations. That team is still in its early days of operation, but it's already had a number of meetings out in the Humboldt-Jansen region, which is a place that has a lot of growth opportunities and challenges. We'll be watching closely to see how that turns out. But an early indication, I had a brief discussion with Humboldt Mayor Malcolm Eaton yesterday, and he's been very pleased with the progress that's been made. So the early results look promising. Also, last year we undertook a review of the use by municipalities of local property tax tools. We had seen some serious inequities in tax levies amongst various property classes. I want to reiterate, though, this was just in a very, very small number of municipalities. By and large, the vast majority of municipalities use tax tools judiciously. But there were just a very few that caused a great deal of concern in government. So we conducted a review, and we consulted with municipal and business stakeholders last year on a long-term policy for placing limits on tax tools, primarily mill rate factors. And we're going to be announcing that policy very shortly, and it will take effect this year, so stay tuned. I've talked about cooperation and growth this morning, and that theme is now what I'd like to come back to. The purpose of growth is to secure a better quality of life for all Saskatchewan people. It's to ensure that we have highways and healthcare and education for all our citizens. It's to ensure that our young people have opportunities to succeed. and it's to ensure that we have a Saskatchewan where people can live their dreams, have those dream jobs, and leave legacies for their children and grandchildren. We're at the start of an exciting new era in Saskatchewan. There's enough here for everyone if we just work together. The strength from many peoples. Thank you very much for your kind attention.